In the history of entertainment, crossovers have been incredibly popular. Whether it be seeing your favorite characters fight each other or work together to stop an ultimate evil, people absolutely love these big tentpole events. Gaming is no exception. Crossovers have been occurring since the early days of the industry. One of gaming's strangest crossovers, however, doesn't have classic characters duking it out. Instead, this crossover took a brand new set of characters and supplanted them into classic worlds from the minds at Disney, and had them team up with the heroes and villains of the praised Final Fantasy series. Everything has a story. This is the story of Kingdom Hearts. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the development and release of the first game in the Kingdom Hearts franchise. We'll also be looking into the memories Kingdom Hearts left with gamers and where the series is today. The mid-1990s saw a 3D revolution in the video game industry. No longer confined to two planes of traversal, game developers set about to craft new experiences that players had never even dreamed of. Many early 3D titles were less than stellar, but one title managed to capture how to perfectly create a 3D game: Super Mario 64. Nintendo's platforming masterpiece was seen as the golden example to creators across the industry on how to not only make a good 3D game, but how to transition a previously 2D series into the third dimension. Super Mario 64 influenced many great developers and games. It was this game that was the subject of a conversation between Shinji Hashimoto and Hironobu Sakaguchi, two producers at Square. At the time, Square could do no wrong. In 1997, they released the JRPG mega hit Final Fantasy VII to massive critical and commercial success. Hashimoto served as the promotions producer for the game, while Sakaguchi, the creator of the Final Fantasy franchise, was the producer of the title and helped craft the game's scenario. Square was rapidly expanding their development of new titles, and the two producers agreed that they wanted to make a game with a similar feel and design to Super Mario 64. Their conversation wouldn't go unnoticed, as Tetsuya Nomura, a young designer at Square, overheard the conversation. Nomura was a rising star at Square. He began his career with the company by being a debugger for Final Fantasy IV in the early 1990s. He worked his way up through the company, serving as a character designer for various projects, including Final Fantasy VII. Nomura liked what he heard from the conversation between the two producers, and volunteered for the project. Appreciating his enthusiasm, Nomura was put in charge of the budding concept, and tasked with developing it further. Super Mario 64 wasn't just influential on how the designers at Square wanted to create their game, it was also serving as a guideline in how they would sell it. Hashimoto and Sakaguchi both agreed that their new project could only be more successful than Super Mario 64 if the leading character for the title was more popular than Mario himself. At the time, the only characters that had a stronger brand awareness than Mario were the creations from Disney, particularly Mickey Mouse. Luck was on the side of Square when Hashimoto stepped onto an elevator with a Disney executive. Square and Disney had shared an office building in Japan in the 1990s, giving Hashimoto the opportunity to pitch the idea of a 3D game starring Mickey Mouse to the Disney executive directly. Disney liked the idea and agreed to the project. Development of the Square Disney project began in February of 2000. A team of developers from Square and Disney Interactive was formed, with Nomura serving as director. Early concepts were quickly put together, but Nomura tossed one of the key selling points of the games out early on. The game wouldn't star Mickey Mouse. Instead, the player would play as an original character designed by Nomura himself. This new player character traversed Disney worlds and interacted with various characters from the company's large library of animated movies and TV shows. Disney didn't impose many restrictions on the project, but the team kept true to the Disney characters and worlds, knowing the final product would be better off because of it. Another early concept for the game was a simple and kid-friendly story. The idea was to promote the game towards children, one of Disney's core audiences. This too would be changed. Sakaguchi, who served as an executive producer for the project, gave the suggestion that the game should feature more mature themes, similar to Square's Final Fantasy series. Sakaguchi warned that if the game didn't match the storytelling quality of the Final Fantasy games, that it would be a failure. Nomura took the advice to heart and fleshed out the game's overarching story, introducing new characters and plot twists to keep gamers entertained. Final Fantasy would influence the game even further, as Nomura began introducing various Final Fantasy characters into the project. The goal was to further the selling potential of the title, while also giving the game's original characters a supporting cast to work off of. Kingdom Hearts was unveiled to the public on February 17, 2000, during the PlayStation Festival 2000. No gameplay or title were revealed during the event. Instead, Square and Disney simply announced their partnership to create an ambitious new game together for Sony's upcoming PlayStation 2. The game wouldn't actually be shown to the public for over a year. At E3 2001, Square announced Kingdom Hearts. The reveal detailed the game's original characters Sora, Riku, Kairi, and the Heartless, all designed by Nomura. The title was slated for release in Japan in late 2001. The game would be shown off once again at the Tokyo Game Show in October of 2001. A playable demo was available to those in attendance. The demo featured many well-known Disney characters and the game's original characters. Kingdom Hearts would slip out of 2001, and instead, the Japanese release of the game would be pushed into early 2002. One of the more impressive aspects of Kingdom Hearts was the vocal talent behind the game. Square revealed before the release of the game that many of the Disney characters present in Kingdom Hearts were voiced by the same people who voiced the characters in their animated movies. Some notable examples include Scott Weiner, James Woods, and Gilbert Gottfried, reprising their roles from Aladdin and Hercules. The game's trio of original characters, Sora, Riku, and Kairi, would be voiced by Haley Joel Osment, David Gallagher, and Hayden Panettiere, all well-known actors at the time. For Final Fantasy fans, one of the biggest treats was hearing many classic characters speak for the first time. One of the most notable examples of voice work here was by NSYNC's Lance Bass, providing the voice for Final Fantasy VII's villainous Sephiroth. The game's opening song also featured well-known talent. The track was performed by Utada Hikaru, a popular Japanese pop artist. Utada recorded the original track Hikari for her fourth album Deep River that released in 2002. Utada would rewrite the lyrics to the song for Kingdom Hearts International release under the name Simple and Clean. Development for Kingdom Hearts would last roughly 2 years. In total, the development team comprised of over 100 staff members from across Square and Disney Interactive. Kingdom Hearts released in Japan on March 28, 2002, exclusively on the PlayStation 2. Square published the title themselves in the region. The North American release of the game would come a few months later on September 17th. The title was published by Square Electronic Arts, a joint venture between EA and Square at the time. Finally, the title was released in PAL regions in November of 2002, with Sony publishing the title. A special final mix version of the game released in Japan on December 26, 2002. This new version of the title included new bosses, additional story segments, and various quality of life features. The narrative of Kingdom Hearts was that of Sora, a young boy on the Destiny Islands. He dreams of traveling to other worlds, and with the help of his friends Riku and Kairi, they gather materials to do just that. The night before they're leaving on their quest, Destiny Islands is besieged by Heartless, dark creatures who aren't fazed by Sora's wooden training sword. Riku and Kairi disappear during the attack, and Sora is only able to escape by opening the door to another world. On the other side, he finds himself in Traverse Town, where he meets characters from both Disney and Final Fantasy alike. Sora finds Donald Duck and Goofy, and the three of them decide to team up together. The trio sets out to explore new worlds. Sora does so to find his friends Riku and Kairi, while Donald and Goofy are on the search for Mickey Mouse, the king of their homeworld who went missing shortly before the events of the game. Kingdom Hearts ended up being closer in style to Nintendo's Legend of Zelda series than Super Mario 64 in the end. The final release of the game mixed action combat with RPG elements to craft a unique experience for console gamers. The game plays in a similar fashion to hack-and-slash titles of the era, while also featuring plenty of Disney worlds for players to explore. Final Fantasy's influence went beyond just adding characters. Defeating enemies would award experience points that directly leveled up your character, unlocking new abilities and stat increases along the way. Players had a wide variety of tools to dispose of enemies with, including magic spells or just bashing them with the series' iconic keyblades. You didn't tackle these worlds alone, however. Various Disney characters would join you on your journey. Goofy and Donald Duck were your main party members, with some worlds presenting unique supporting characters that could join your party. A variety of other challenges were also thrown into the game, including an arena from the world of Hercules, a mini-game-filled musical world from The Little Mermaid, and shoot-'em-up style levels when traveling between worlds in your gummy ship. Critics were impressed by the title. Famitsu gave the game a 36 out of 40, while notable American and European outlets garnished the game with 8s and 9s. The game was praised for its high production values, notably the audio direction and cinematic cutscenes. The story and gameplay received more of a mixed reception. Kingdom Hearts would even rack up a few end-of-the-year awards, including Best Story from G4 TV and runner-up for Best PlayStation 2 Game of 2002 from IGN. The game was also a commercial success. By April of 2003, the title sold over 1 million units in North America and over 3 million units worldwide. The title sold over 5.5 million units worldwide by the end of 2006. In the summer of 2005, I visited a friend's house and was greeted with a new game they had purchased. The front and back of the game featured familiar faces I'd seen during my childhood, and I was immediately intrigued. On the front of the game was Donald and Goofy, and they were standing next to these spiky hair boys that reminded me of the anime I would stay up late on Saturday nights watching. We popped the disc into the PlayStation 2, and I was struck by a brand new type of gaming experience. For most of my childhood, I played video games based on properties I knew. This meant catching them all with Pokemon on my Game Boy Advance or battling it out Dragon Ball style on my GameCube. Rarely did my interest in games go beyond what I already knew, and Kingdom Hearts was no different. Sort of. While I saw various Disney characters on the cover and in the game, they weren't the stars. Instead, we were playing as completely unknown characters, droning on about leaving their homes behind for new adventures. I tried playing Kingdom Hearts, and found myself getting stuck when the Heartless first appeared. As a young gamer, I just couldn't quite grasp what I was supposed to do next when the vile alien creatures attacked the island. I suffered a game over, and we turned the console off. My friend and I came back a few days later after figuring out what to do next. We couldn't fight the Heartless without the Keyblade. We hunted down the weapon, laid waste to the Heartless, and continued on our adventure. I wouldn't be able to play through Kingdom Hearts fully until over a year later in 2006. After getting a PlayStation 2 as a Christmas present in late 2005, I began to diversify my gaming taste. One of the first games I returned to during this transformative period was Kingdom Hearts. I would play through all of Sora's adventure, making it all the way to Hollow Bastion. I loved Kingdom Hearts. In the end, it wasn't the Disney worlds or Final Fantasy characters that sold me on the game, it was the adventure. Kingdom Hearts became the first game I ever played that gave me a sense of a larger gaming world. The story, the combat, and the sense of adventure that Kingdom Hearts offered impacted my taste in video games greatly. Looking at my favorite games now, it's hard not to see the influence Kingdom Hearts had. Sure, Kingdom Hearts hasn't held up all that well today, and the story's a tad bit nonsensical, but I cherish this game for introducing me to the wider world of video games. Kingdom Hearts was followed up by a direct sequel on the PlayStation 2 and over half a dozen spin-off games for mobile and handheld devices. The series continues to be popular, with over 20 million units sold worldwide. Kingdom Hearts has seen a number of re-releases as well. In 2013, an HD remaster was released on the PlayStation 3 as part of a compilation known as the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix. This version of the game was largely the same as the original, but was remade from the ground up, as Square had lost the original source code. This remaster was also featured in multiple compilation packs on the PlayStation 4. In 2013, Kingdom Hearts 3 was finally announced during Sony's E3 press conference. The trailer didn't have many details, but assured fans that Kingdom Hearts 3 was in development. The trailer caught many by surprise, including myself. I was overcome with emotions, and for the only time in my life, I wept at a game's announcement. Kingdom Hearts was one of my favorite game series growing up. While I've struggled to keep up with the series in recent years, those memories of staying up late, my hands gripping a DualShock 2 as I try to get the final blow on a tough boss are still clear. Kingdom Hearts 3 is finally coming out. Over 13 years after the last mainline entry, and 6 since the last handheld title was released. I know it won't be quite the same, but I can't wait to wrap my hands around a controller and see where the story of Sora, Riku, and Kairi goes next. The story of Kingdom Hearts is one of chance. It's an idea that no one in their wildest mind would ever dream of working. It's this strange mixture of various well-known properties and gameplay influenced by many of the most notable games of the era. Kingdom Hearts helped launch the career of Tetsuya Nomura, who has gone on to direct other video game and film projects for Square. Shinji Hashimoto, who is credited as the co-creator of the series, has risen through the ranks of Square Enix, becoming the brand director for the entire Final Fantasy franchise. Hironobu Sakaguchi, the mentor of a young Nomura, left Square in 2004 to start his own studio, Mistwalker. Mistwalker has developed a number of notable RPGs since, including the well-received Xbox 360 game, Lost Odyssey. But it's also a story of chance for myself. I gave Kingdom Hearts a chance, a game that was completely different than anything I'd ever played before. All of this, from a chance conversation that turned into a chance pitch, that turned into one of my favorite game series. Kingdom Hearts is certainly one of gaming's strangest crossovers, but one that I wouldn't trade for anything else. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and share it on your favorite social media sites. Leave a comment on what you would like to know the story of, and be sure to subscribe to catch the next video when it comes out. And once again, thank you for watching.